I'm Dot Dan. Today we're going to take a look at Arcade version 1.1.1 by Output. Now, contributor Steve Blitzen had mentioned that he really loved Arcade, so much so that he added it to his best 2018 picks here, calling it a deadline keeper. Output launched this brand new kind of subscription service earlier in the year, and this is actually a new kind of synthesizer. It's a loop synthesizer. So unlike loop packs, these are instruments that load up right through the dedicated interface and allow you to transform the loops in many different ways. Arcade is a subscription-based loop synthesizer. Highlights include new content available every day, content delivery right through the interface, loops organized as product lines with kits. It's easy to search through the cloud with browser and metadata. Choose what you like from the browser and download it right into the instrument. Also has the ability to load your own loops. Arcade is a subscription model, so you need to sign up for $10 a month. You can cancel anytime and keep whatever instruments you have used in your productions. Important note here, if you haven't already tried out Arcade, you can get a 14-day free trial. I'll include a link to take you straight over to Output in the description below. All right, I've got Arcade loaded up. This is version 1.1, and a few updates have been made. If you've been using an older version, most likely you've updated if you've already used it. If you haven't already, the newest update is include one-click to download all kits that are included. So basically the library's set up as it's a loop engine with a lot of effects and controls. You can select different lines. So this would be like a label, and then inside of it, it'll have a bunch of different kits. So you can see the different kits here through the browser, and then individual loops for everything. The way you get them onto your computer is you select the lines or kits you want to use. And so, for instance, here's 7 bongos, 8 congas. So let's pretend I need that one. I can either click right here to download it, or I can double click or I can click once and go into get all of the rhythm culture lines. So this is their product line, and download all of these with one click. So now it'll go into my active download queue. As you can see, I got quite a few active downloads right now. The other thing about the 1.1 update is when you go to load an instrument, you can click load and it'll keep you in the browser interface, or you can double click and it'll bring up the instrument interface. Those of you who've used Output instruments will be familiar with this macro kind of processing. So there's 4 macros per instrument. So now across C3 to C5, you can trigger playback with your white keys. So as you can hear, this is a loop player instrument. I'm going to turn all these macros all the way down just so we can hear the sample as it is right now. The key of the instrument is located here. You can change your default key. So we're in E now. Now it's in a minor loop, or it is a minor phrase. So we can't change it to major, but we can change. So this is the main way to change your center, your tonic of your key. And then down at the bottom up here is indicating key switches, which I believe are C0 to C2. And here you're going to be able to change on the fly. anytime you let up off, it'll automatically pay back to your root for whatever the session file is. New to version 1.1, they have added resizable GUI. In Logic, you have to drag from this square right here. So it's a little tricky in Logic. You have to find this little spot right here where the instrument interface ends and Logic plugin box starts right here in the corner. You've also got a number of other controls if you want to change the sync to your DAW, half speed, full speed, double speed. There's also some legato, input quantize controls, voice limits. So looking over the lines, you start to get a little bit of a feel as to what these different product lines will have just based on the name and the description. For instance, this one's called Nashville. This one, go ahead and go into, you could see that it's got some steel string guitars, banjos, big round bass, things like that. So let's load up the American guitar, have a listen to it. Double clicking that section pulls up the interface. So besides just these macro controls, they've also set it up so that all of your black keys are triggering an effect. So for instance, this black key here, when I take a look, you can see it's called a resequencer effect. And that actually lets you get into resequence how the samples play back. You can see here, it's got this sample broken into 8 different steps. And we're playing 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, instead of 1 through 8, like the sequence would normally play back. There's also controls for mutes. You can change your volume by dragging. You could reverse your sample playback just by clicking. You can play back at different speeds per sample slice, as well as change the length. There's also an effect here called the repeater. And it is actually repeating and looping slices of the sample loop. And then you could have it trigger to continue on where it was stuck looping or follow the timeline. So wherever you're playing back right now, the repeater is just looping that one beat of samples. And you could change your repeat rate. That's pretty cool. And it continues on in the timeline. When you lift back up. And it looks like I got another setting. Note on. if you really think of arcade as a loop instrument first, then you'll be, I found I'm really pleased with it. The minute I start to try to think of it as a multi-timbral or multi-sample instrument, the more frustrated I get. When I think about this as a great way to work with loops, there's another effects control on black keys called Playhead. This allows you to go ahead and change the speed and direction of your playhead for your loop. With some other controls there to isolate which section of the loop you're going to be playing. Now, this seems like it would be something that would really work well with beats. So let's find some drum beats and test that out. So percussion. Let's see if we can find something. All right, let's load that one up. And we'll see, we've got a couple reverse controls here. Playhead controls. I called it reverse by accident. It actually controls speed, and you can change it to reverse. So we can change our speed way down to 1/8 of the speed. All the way up to double speed. And with those different controls across the black keys for resequencing, playhead, or repeater, you're able to adjust and change those just by going in and editing. The only thing I think I would have liked to have seen here in this resequencer is a pitch control. Yeah, it's great that they've got the pitch controls on your lower keys, C-1 to C1, but it would have been really nice, I think, to be able to actually program in pitch controls, especially trying to reach something melodic and just have it triggered back through a sequence. That way you could actually have set up 2 or 3 different separate melodies and phrases, depending on your resequencing settings, and jump back and forth between them with the same loop sample. Using your own loops in arcade is actually pretty easy. I was able to just go in and start a new instrument. You can see it comes up with this nice generic user kit interface. You just basically can go in and grab the audio files that you'd like to use, drag them, and it'll automatically assign as many as you drag into across the white keys of the keyboard. So now you can hear I've got these Viking pulses. And when we go in, we could take a look at the actual sample playback. Setting up your loops to work properly is pretty simple. You can just go in and punch in your correct BPM, make sure that the sync is on there. If you have tone qualities, you can select what key it is. Since I just imported some loops, I'm not too concerned about them. The one thing is, though, you need to go through and do this for each sample you load up. And then after you're done with that, I highly recommend you save your work as your new instrument. Your new kit loaded up, you're able to easily go in and edit not only your controls for your effects that you would have to be able to play back on the fly with resequencing, the playhead, as well as the repeater. I think I really see how this can help you produce some underscore or some songs really quickly, because you've got all these great starting points for loops. Again, the important thing for me here is really thinking of output as a loop instrument first, and then learning how to jump in and manipulate those loops that you're allowed to either download through the ever-expanding arcade system or by loading up some of your own. Being able to load up different kits, lines, product lines based on their style, that really gives you a leg up when you're trying to create something really quickly. I don't know if this instrument will necessarily cater to my needs, seeing as it is loop-based and I need to try to create fully original music for 90% of my clients, creating my own loops or recording my own samples, beats, and rhythms. But I do see how this is going to be a very inspiring and creative instrument for a lot of composers and music makers in the EDM and pop world. If you haven't already, go ahead and give Arcade a try. They've got a 14-day free trial. I'll include a link to take you over to Output in the description below. Thanks for taking a little time to spend it with me today. Check it out, Arcade version 1.1.1 from Output. I'll include links to everything, including the sample library review, Arcade Output page in the description below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Always love your support. And be sure to head over to samplelibraryreview.com for the latest news, reviews, and weekly deals page.